Book of Ecclesiastes, Chapter 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation arrives, and the earth remains forever. The sun rises, and the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, and the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness, and man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what is done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new, it has been already, in the ages before us? There is no remembrance of former things, nor is there any remembrance of later things yet to be, among those who arrive after. I, the preacher, have been king over Israel in Jerusalem, and one has applied one's heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. One has seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and a striving after wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. One said in one's heart, one has acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before one's being. And one's heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. And one applied one's heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. One perceived that this also is a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. Chapter 2. One said in one's heart, arrive now, one tests you with pleasure, enjoy yourself. And behold, this also is vanity. One said of laughter, it is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? One searched with one's heart, how to cheer one's body with wine. One's heart guiding one's being with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till one might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. One made great works, one built houses and planted vineyards for oneself, one made oneself gardens and parks, and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. One made oneself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. One bought male and female slaves, and had slaves who were born in one's house. One also had great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before one's being in Jerusalem. One also gathered for oneself gold and silver, and the treasure of kings and provinces. One got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. So one was great and surpassed all who were before one's being in Jerusalem. Also one's wisdom remained with one's being, and whatever one's eyes desired, one did not keep from them. One kept one's heart from no pleasure, for one's heart found pleasure in all one's toil, and this was one's reward for all one's toil. And one considered all that one's hands had done, and the toil one had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there is nothing to be gained under the sun. So one turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who arrives after the king? Only what has already been done. Then one saw that there is more in wisdom than in folly, and there is more gain in light than in darkness. The wise person has his eyes in his head, and the fool walks in darkness. And yet one perceived that the same event happens to all of them. And one said in one's heart, what happens to the fool happens to one's being also. Why then is one so very wise? And one said in one's heart that this is also vanity. For of the wise as of the fool there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to arrive all have been long forgotten. How the wise dies just like the fool. So when hated life, because what is done under the sun, was grievous to one's being. For all is vanity and a striving after wind. One hated all one's toil, in which one's toil under the sun, seeing that one must leave it to the man who arrives after one's being. And who knows whether he is wise or a fool, yet he is master of all for which one toiled and used one's wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So one turned about and gave one's heart up to despair over all the toil one's labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also one saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy, and to the sinner he has given the business of gathering and collecting, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. Chapter 3. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to tear and a time to sue, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What gain has a worker from his toil, when it is seen that the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with? He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. When perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and do good as long as they live. When perceive that there is nothing better for them, joyful and do good as long as they live. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. When perceive that whatever God does endures forever, nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done it so that people reverentially fear before him. That which is already has been done, that which is to be, already has been, and God seeks what has been driven away. Moreover, one saw under the sun that in the place of justice even there was wickedness, and in the place of righteousness even there was wickedness. One said in one's heart, God judges the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time for every matter and for every work. One said in one's heart with regard to the children of man that God is testing them, that they themselves are just beasts. For what happens to the children of man and what happens to the beasts is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. They all have the same breath, and man has no advantage over the beast, for all is vanity. All go to one place, all are from the dust, and to dust all return. Who knows whether the spirit of man goes upward and the spirit of beast goes down into the earth? So one saw that there is nothing better than that a man rejoices in his work, for that is his lot. Who can bring him to see what is after him? Again one saw all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears, chapter 4. Again one saw all the oppressions that are done under the sun, behold the tears of the oppressed, and they had no one to comfort them. On the side of their oppressors there was power, and there is no one to comfort them. And one thought the dead who are already dead more fortunate than the living who are still alive. and better than both is he who has not yet been, and he has not seen the evil deeds that are done under the sun. And one saw that all toil and all skill in work arrive from a man's envy of his neighbor. This is also vanity, and is a striving after wind. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh. Better is a handful of quietness than 2 handfuls of toil and a striving after wind. Again, one saw vanity under the sun, one person who has no other, either son or brother, yet there is no end to all his toil, and his eyes are never satisfied with riches, so that he never asks. For whom is one toiling and depriving oneself of pleasure? This also is vanity and an unhappy business. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one lifts up his fellow, and woe to him who is alone when he falls, and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm. And how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. Better was a wise, poor youth than an old, foolish king who no longer knew how to take advice. For he went from prison to the throne, though in his own kingdom he had been born poor. One saw all the living who move about under the sun, along with that youth who was to stand in the king's place. There is no end of all the people, all of whom he led. Yet those who arrive later do not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and a striving after wind. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. To draw near to listen is better than chapter 5. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. To draw near to listen is better than to offer the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they are doing evil. Be not rash with your mouth, nor let your heart be hasty to utter a word before God. For God is in heaven, and you are on earth. Therefore, let your words be few, for a dream arrives with much business, and a fool's voice with many words. When you vow a vow to God, do not delay paying it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you vow. It is better that you should not vow than that you should vow and not pay. Let not your mouth lead you into sin, and do not say before the messenger, that was a mistake. Why should God be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For when dreams increase and words grow many, there is vanity, and God is the one you must reverentially fear. If you see in the province the oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and righteous, do not be amazed at the matter, for the high official is watched by a higher, and there are yet higher ones over them, and this is gain for a land in every way. A king committed to cultivated fields. He who loves money is not satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them. And what advantage has their owner, except to see them with his eyes? Sweet is the sleep of the laborer, whether he eats little or much, and the full stomach of the rich does not let him sleep. There is a grievous evil that one has seen under the sun. Riches were kept by their owner to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is father of a son, and he has nothing in his hand. As he arrived from his mother's womb, he goes again, naked as he arrived, and takes nothing for his toil that he may carry away in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he arrived, so he goes, and what gain is there to him who toils for the wind? Moreover, all his days he eats in darkness, and much vexation, and sickness and anger. Behold, what one has seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyment in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, few days of his life that God has given him. For this is his lot, everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them, and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil. This is the gift of God. For he does not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. Chapter 6. There is an evil that one has seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind. A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing, of all that he desires. Yet God does not give him power to enjoy them, and a stranger enjoys them. This is vanity, is a grievous evil. The man fathers a children. If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, and his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he also has no burial. One says that a stillborn child is better off than he, for it arrives in vanity and goes in darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun or known anything, yet it finds rest rather than he. Even though he should live 1,000 years twice over, yet enjoy no good, do not all go to the one place? All the toil of man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? And what does the poor man have who knows how to conduct himself before the living? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity, and a striving after wind. Whatever has arrived to be has already been named, and it is known what man is, and that he is not able to dispute with one stronger than he. The more words, the more vanity, and what is the advantage to man? For who knows what is good for man while he lives the few days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? For who can tell man what is after him under the sun? Chapter 7. Good name is better than precious ointment in the day of death than the day of birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For this is the end of all mankind, and the living lay it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of face the heart is made glad. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, and the hearts of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better for a man to hear the rebuke of the wise than to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fools. This also is vanity. Surely oppression drives the wise into madness, and a bride corrupts the heart. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not quick in your spirit to be angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, an advantage to those who see the sun. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. Consider the work of God, who can make straight what he has made crooked. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, and in the day of adversity, consider God has made the one as well as the other, so that man may not find out anything that is after him. In one's vain life, one has seen everything. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs his life in his evil doing. Be not overly righteous, and do not make yourself too wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Be not overly wicked, neither be a fool. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you should take hold of this, and from that withhold not your hand. For the one who reverentially fears God arrives out from both of them. Wisdom gives strength to the wise man, more than 10 rulers who are in a city. Surely there is not a wise man on earth who does good and never sins. Do not take to heart all the things that people say, lest you hear your servant cursing you. Your heart knows that many times you yourself have cursed others. All this one has tested by wisdom. One said, one will be wise, one is wise, and it is far from one's being. That which has been is far off, and deep, very deep. Who can find it out? One turned one's heart to know, and to search out, and to seek wisdom in the scheme of things, and to know the wickedness of folly and the foolishness that is madness. And one finds something more bitter than death, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and whose hands are fetters. He who pleases God escapes her, and the sinner is taken by her. Behold, this is what one found, says the preacher, while adding one thing to another to find the scheme of things, which one's soul has sought repeatedly and has not found out. One man among 1,000 one found, and a woman among all these one has not found. See this alone one found, that God made man upright, and they have sought out many schemes. Chapter 8. Who is like the wise, and who knows the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom makes his face shine. One says, keep the king's command because of God's oath to him. Be not hasty to go from his presence. Do not take your stand in an evil cause, for he does whatever he pleases. For the word of the king is supreme, and who says to him, what are you doing? Whoever keeps the command knows no evil thing, and the wise heart knows the proper timing and the just way. For there is a time and a way for everything, although man's trouble lies heavy on him, for he does not know what it is to be. For who can tell him how it is? No man has power to retain the spirit or power over the day of death. There is no discharge from war, nor wickedness, nor does wickedness deliver those who are given to it. All this one has observed while applying one's heart to all that is done under the sun. When man had power over man to get to his hurt, they once saw the wicked buried. They used to go in and out of the holy place and were praised in the city where they had done such things. This also is vanity, because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily. The heart of the children of man is fully set to do evil. Though a sinner does evil 100 times and prolongs his life, yet one knows that it is well with those who reverentially fear God, because they reverentially fear before him. And it is not well with the wicked, neither does he prolong his days like a shadow, because he does not reverentially fear before God. There is a vanity that takes place on earth, that there are righteous people to whom it happens according to the deeds of the wicked, and there are wicked people to whom it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. One said that this also is vanity. And one commends joy for man, quote, has nothing better under the sun except to eat and drink and be joyful. For this goes with him in his toil through the days of his life that God has given him under the sun. When one applied one's heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done on earth, how neither day nor night do one's eyes see sleep, then one saw all the work of God, that man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. However much man may toil in seeking, he does not find it out. Even though a wise man claims to know, he cannot find it out. Chapter 9. And all this one laid to heart, examining it all, how the righteous and the wise and their deeds are in the hand of God. Whether it is love or hate, man does not know. Both are before him. It is the same for all, since the same event happens to the righteous and to the wicked, and to the good and the evil, to the clean and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As the good one is, so is the sinner, and he who swears is as he who shuns an oath. This is an evil in all that is done under the earth, but the same event happens to all. Also, the hearts of the children of man are full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live, and after that they go to the dead. And he who is joined with all the living has hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, and the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward. For the memory of them is forgotten. Their love and their hate and their envy have already perished, and forever they have no more share in all that is done under the sun. Go, eat your bread with joy, and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already approved what you do. Let your garments be always white. Let not oil be lacking on your head. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life that he has given you under the sun, because that is your pardon in life and in your toil, at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hands finds to do, do it with your might, for there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, to which you are going. Again, one saw that under the sun, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to those with knowledge, except time and chance happen to them all.